Well, that escalated quickly. Tesla CEO Elon Musk is facing a heap of legal issues this hour as Tesla shareholders file class action lawsuits accusing him of securities fraud, all from a single tweet last week. Musk fired up this tweet. It's on your screen. This started it all. This was last Tuesday. He declared his intention of taking the company private at 420 back on August 7th. The funding secured portion left investor heads spinning, wondering if that's really true. Musk justifying his tweet in a blog post earlier today on Tesla's website, clarifying what he meant by secured funding, saying, quote, going back almost 2 years, the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund has approached me multiple times about taking Tesla private. Recently, after the Saudi fund bought almost 5% of Tesla stock through the public markets, they reached out to ask for another meeting. That meeting took place on July 31st. I left the July 31st meeting with no question that a deal with the Saudi sovereign fund could be closed. Here to weigh in is automotive and tech guru, Wall Street Journal reporter Tim Higgins. Tim, what do you make of the blog post?
Well, funding secure, that's going to be the key word. You talk to experts and they look at today's blog post and they say, well, maybe not funding secured. It seems to be still in the negotiating phase, which leads questions of how secure was that funding that he promised?
Exactly. How secure in the 420 stock strike as well. I mean, that valuation, you know, there are reports that it could take $70 billion to actually make this leverage buyout possible, to make it work. And a lot of that, correct me if I'm wrong, is the debt that Tesla's sitting on.
Well, that's something that Elon Musk pushed back against today in his post, saying that he's seen this number and he thinks it's too high. In fact, he thinks that a lot of the shareholders who are currently in Tesla will remain, and that will lower the price, lower the cost of going private. He thinks maybe 2/3 of the current shareholders will stay with Tesla as it becomes a private company.
What do you make, though, of what he proposed as a structure when he emailed the company after the infamous tweet last week, when he said, well, it would be, you know, we would go private, but you can maybe buy and sell your shares every 6 months. I mean, that type of fund that he's talking about, that those shares would be encompassed within, is very rare and kind of unheard of, is it not?
Rare and complex. And you also get this issue of a lot of the big investors that are in Tesla have some limits on these sorts of things. So it raises a lot of questions. And that is the criticism really against everything that Elon has been saying here, is that there's not a lot of details. Today in his blog, Elon basically saying that they're still in the discussion phase, and once they get those details hammered out, they'll take them to shareholders. But just yet another example of kind of, you know, announcing this on Twitter in kind of a very unusual way with a lot of unanswered questions just has caused a lot of confusion in the marketplace.
You have to wonder about these lawsuits, too, speaking of confusion, because you've got these shareholder lawsuits. They're saying that it was, quote, artificially manipulating the price of Tesla stock to decimate short sellers. We know he hates the short sellers. But also, where was the NASDAQ when this whole thing was going down last Tuesday? I mean, his tweet goes out just before 1 p.m. It was 3 p.m. before the NASDAQ halted trading on something that, frankly, never should have been disclosed during the trading session. We've never seen something like this come from a CEO.
Yeah, really 80 minutes of uncertainty. A lot of people initially thought that maybe he was joking. He jokes on Twitter a lot. Remember that price he's looking for is 420. Some thought that was a reference to marijuana. You know, a lot of uncertainty. Our reporting at the Wall Street Journal saying that NASDAQ didn't know this was coming. It's customary for a company to give them a heads up, so there can be some stopping of trading if they think it's going to be material. Probably underscores the fact that this was really just dropped on the market, and people are reacting to it.
You know, there's a lot of conflicting reports over the weekend about the Saudis and the investment fund there. I mean, they already hold a stake in Tesla. We know that. But, you know, there's a lot of speculation that they would actually be the ones to make this leverage buyout a reality. You think that's going to happen?
Well, if you listen to Elon's blog today, he thinks it's basically he says with no question that they could do it. Yet he even acknowledges that the deal hasn't gone to the partner, the committees and whatnot. There still seems to be some finalization. That's what our reporting says. A lot of unanswered questions, really. It's
interesting that you know, he wants to take a company private that has really benefited from being a publicly traded company, and he has benefited from it being in the public eye. It's going to be interesting. Tim Higgins, thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it.